All right, welcome back to Beyond the Athlete, where this week we're joined by Sydney Sands from the women's volleyball team. Sydney, can you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Sydney Sands. I'm a member of the women's volleyball team. I'm a junior setter, and I am also from Chandler, Arizona.
Now, the volleyball team won the Atlantic East Conference Championship this year and also made it to the NCAA tournament. Can you talk about that experience a little bit?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, last year we made it to the conference tournament, and we lost to Cabrini in 4, which was kind of tough to, lose to Cabrini, which is kind of an in-conference rival for us. I mean, it was really exciting this year when we were able to go back to Cabrini and play them at their home again and sweep them, which was like a lot of fun for us. I think our team this year was really motivated by the loss last year and just kind of what we missed out on. I think this year we worked really, really hard in practice this year to hold everyone accountable, work together as a team, make sure that we're all on the same page. I think we bond that experience last year. I think losing in conference, I think made us more bonded as a team and created kind of a sister-like bond between all of us. And I think this year we kind of came back with a lot of passion and fire. We had a lot of returners this year, so I think that also helped us out a lot because we had people who had been in that experience prior. Since my freshman year was COVID, I really didn't have a conference tournament, so last year was my first experience in the conference tournament. So I think going back again this year, we had the strength, kind of the talent and the knowledge. I mean, we've had the talent the past 2 years. It was just a matter of applying it. And I think this year we really, really applied it and we really wanted it. And it was a really, really fun experience. It was like one of the best days of my life last year. So yeah.
Can you talk about first of all, how important it is to have that team chemistry, where everyone seems to just be friendly and getting along on the floor and then also off the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I think my team is abnormally close. If you ask any of us, I think we are very abnormally close. We're always around one another. We are always together. It's like if you're on campus anywhere, you will see 2 women's volleyball players together. You really never see one without another, or we're always together. We are always just like, I don't know, we're just together. And I think that chemistry is very respondent on the court. I think we're able to hold each other to a higher standard since we have that bond and we have that sister-like bond between one another, is that we're able to make sure we expect more from our teammates because of the bond that we share. I think team chemistry in volleyball is one of the most crucial things that you can ever have. It's something that you will not be successful if your team is not full of chemistry, because it's a team sport. You need other people to help you. You need to rely on other people. I think it's a sport that over the years has taught me a lot about trust, and has taught me a lot about being there for other people and being able to kind of adapt to other people. I think that's a very important skill that volleyball teaches you. And I think, number one, if we're talking in regards to bonds, I think it's very important to have a strong bond with your teammates, because that's like the number one way that you're going to be successful within any team sport, regardless.
So would you say you've made lifelong friends throughout your time here at Marymount volleyball?
I definitely have, on the volleyball team, off the volleyball team. I think, I mean, my teammates are like my number one supporters. We're all each other's supporters. We go to each other about things that, you really like. If someone's struggling on your team, you're going to want to be there for them. I think there's always someone you can go to on our team. Like, there's always someone who has been through something similar to what you have gone through. And I think that is something that is very, very important. My team is very diverse. I think that has helped a lot. I think being able to have teammates with different backgrounds than you and having teammates who have gone through different experiences but also similar experiences has created an even larger friendship than I think any of us have ever realized. And yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about going down to Mary Washington for the NCAA playoff tournament?
Yeah, Mary Wash was fun. I mean, we had played at Mary Wash during regular season this year. Their gym is very, very nice. It's a very large gym. It's a very echoey gym. It's a lot larger than our gym here. So I think having played in that gym prior was kind of helpful just for kind of your court awareness, and for those who aren't aware of what court awareness is. In volleyball, you have to basically be aware of where your body is on the court. So if a ball is going over my head and it's landing out, I can kind of feel where my body is. And sometimes in larger gyms, that court awareness can be off, especially in unfamiliar gyms. So I think being familiar with that gym was really helpful for us. We played Eastern. We are in the same kind of bracket pool play area as schools such as Johns Hopkins. Mary Wash was also there. Eastern was a team that we played, and then Cedar Crest, and then I want to say one more school, but I am not sure off the top of my head. So it was a bracket of people who we had played in season. We had played Johns Hopkins at the beginning of the year. We had played Mary Washington, and we took a set off them. So I think going into NCAAs, we were very calm and assured at what we could do talent-wise and how we could compete with these teams. We ended up losing to Eastern in 5 within the first round. But, I mean, I was very proud of us. We battled the entire game, I think. It was very back and forth. We worked really well as a team that game, I think. Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. We fought really hard. We didn't really give up, which I was very proud of my teammates and myself for doing. We didn't really roll over and give it to them, which was, you know, that's something you can be proud of. Like, we just didn't give up the game. So, yeah.
And, of course, you won the championship the same day that men's soccer won the championship, and then both of you ended up traveling down to Mary Washington. How did that sort of connection strengthen the bond between those two teams?
I mean, funny story. So on the way down to Cabrini for conference, our bus's AC was, like, not working at all. So all of us are, like, in spandex and, like, our sports bras, basically, because we are sweating. Because it was November, and it was like an abnormally warm day for November. Our heat was on, none of the windows were opening. We ended up opening the emergency exit, and Natalie Garbelosa is in the back of the bus watching the PKs from the soccer. She was watching the game the entire time, but then I wasn't aware that she was watching the game until she started screaming about the penalty kicks, and I was not aware that they had won conference until after, because I'm pretty sure penalty kicks ended right as we started warming up. So I'm pretty sure someone had said that they won, but I didn't know they won until after. But yeah, it was just a funny scene. Like, we were all on this bus, like, screaming for the men's soccer team, and we were just all, like, sweating. And then we show up to Cabrini, and we just, like, we're late. They had to push back our start time like another hour because we got stuck in traffic. That entire travel day was very just strange. We were so sweaty when we got there because we were already, like, warmed up. We, like, didn't need to warm up that much because we were sweating so much on the bus. But I think winning the same day as men's soccer was something that was really special for us to witness our fellow athletes doing. I think here at Marymount, we do a really good job at supporting other athletes, showing out to other athletes' games. I mean, it's harder when we're in the same season as men's soccer, because last year I know we went to a lot more of their games because we had games that didn't fall on the same days, but this year was a bit harder just because we all had same games on the same day. But it was really exciting to watch one of your fellow teams kind of win a championship. And it was like the same feeling I had when both basketballs won this year and the swims. And someone else won this year? Women's golf won the other conference, right? Or they won Atlantic East. I'm pretty sure they won Centennial.
They won Centennial.
Yeah. But it's still exciting to see your other fellow athletes, like, get that ring like you are. I mean, us in men's soccer, we got to order our rings together. Like, ours look very similar. We just got the smaller size, but it was just a really exciting feeling to be able to see, like, how much excitement was on their faces because you understood exactly how they felt. Like, you just feel on top of the world for, like, a week and a half. Like, it's just the best feeling ever, I think. So, yeah.
Now, growing up, has sports always been a part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I always played sports growing up. My dad was super into, like, football, wrestling, baseball. I was growing up. My mom was a dancer and a cheerleader. My uncle was a really good baseball player. My brother is a D1 athlete right now over at Weber State. Both my younger cousins play sports so much. My older two cousins were both, like, really competitive swimmers growing up. I think being in a competitive atmosphere ever since, like, growing up, I mean, I played every single sport under the sun growing up until I found volleyball. I was a cheerleader. I was a tumbler. I did dance. I did soccer. I'm pretty sure I did, like, t-ball at one point because my brother was doing it and I got jealous and I wanted to do it. I think I played flag football at one point because, again, my brother was doing it and I got jealous. I did tennis for a while. I golf, like, now. That's my secret talent. I'm not good at golf. Like, but golf like runs in my family. My aunt, my uncle, my dad, and my grandfather were all really, really good golfers. My dad still takes me all the time golfing. Don't ask to golf with me. I'm not good. I'm decent, but I'm not good enough to compete. Like I'm not good enough to compete with some people, but I do know how to golf. Like, it's just, sports was always an inherent thing growing up for us. I mean, yeah, it's always been a thing for my family. My family's really competitive. Yeah.
So what drew you to volleyball in particular?
I mean, I just remember when I signed up, it was a family that we had known. So backstory, I was born in California, in Mission Viejo, California. It's like right outside Laguna. It's in Orange County. I ended up moving to Texas when I was 5 years old, and I lived in the Woodlands, Texas, which is a town in East Texas outside Houston. And I lived in Texas from the ages of 5 to 16. There was a family that we knew in Texas that started a volleyball club, and my mom, we went to church with this family. Like, we were very close. They just told me, they're like, oh, you should just come and try it. And I was like, okay. I went and tried it. I was just good at it. I just liked it. And I just kind of kept rolling from there. I mean, I ended up literally quitting every other sport I was playing. Like, I was diving at the time, and I was like tumbling and doing cheer. And I was like, no, like, I want to play volleyball. And so after that, I just started club volleyball, and I played forever. I mean, it's just, volleyball is just like the best. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I genuinely love the sport of volleyball so much. It just makes, I'm never as happy as I am on the court. I'm the happiest person in the world when I'm on the court. There's like nothing that, like, if something's going wrong in my life outside of volleyball, I know that I can go play and I will forget about whatever's going on in my life for that like 2-hour practice or that like 2.5-hour game. Like, I can forget about the world and I can just be like locked in and just be able to, like, I don't know, be the happiest and do something that I truly, truly love. So yeah.
So you mentioned being initially from California, then moving to Texas, and then living in Arizona as well. Can you talk about how that influenced who you are as a person today?
That's a good question, Jack. So I didn't mention this either. I moved to Arizona when I was 16, and I finished out my high school career there. I don't really remember our move from California to Texas. It obviously was really awful just because I was leaving. My entire family lives in California. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, all of them, they all live there. And it's very hard to leave your close-knit family that you've grown up with, going to every single birthday party with, and moving to a state where you know basically no one. I think growing up in Texas and having that move really shaped me as a person. My mom likes to say a lot that I have become a more well-rounded person. I've become a more sociable person. I've experienced a lot of things that a lot of people haven't. I've gotten very lucky to experience places like Southern California, but then moved to the South and then moved to like the desert basically. And now I live on the East Coast, which I've never done. So it's like all those moves, especially the one from Texas to Arizona, kind of helped me be able to, in a way, talk to just anyone, be able to relate to anyone, be able to form connections with people, and I think just overall make me a more personable person. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I can find a common area with basically anyone. So yeah.
I've definitely found that to be the case, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jack. I appreciate that. I pride myself on that skill.
And so, coming from Arizona, you ended up here in the Northern Virginia area to play volleyball at Marymount. Can you talk about that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I met Coach Wilson when I was 16. So my first year club in Arizona was when I was like, okay, I want to play college volleyball. I've decided. I was never really on the fence. I always knew I wanted to play collegiate sports. I just didn't know where. I didn't know what I wanted to major in. I had no clue whatsoever. So I basically sent out like a large email to like so many college coaches before this one tournament. I was nationals my 16s year. And I remember Coach Wilson like followed up and I was like, oh, cool. Like school in Virginia. Like I remember I really liked the colors. Like I liked the blue and white. And I'm being so serious. Like I really liked the way that it like looked. I was like, oh, this is like cool. It looks like I don't know, like it looks like a cool school. I looked into it. I saw where it was and I was like, oh, it's right next to DC. That's super cool. I emailed her back. She came and watched me at nationals. And I remember she emailed me back and she was like, you can really like throw a back set out there. And I was like, thank you so much. Like no college coach had ever, I mean, like I had received emails from other schools, but it was like no coach had really made like such a personable, like being like, oh, I went and watched you. I really liked how you did this. Like no coach really, like they would be like, oh, I went and watched you. Like here's our information about our school and stuff like that. But she was very personal with me. I ended up having a call with her. Going into my junior year of high school, I ended up switching clubs. I didn't really talk to Coach Wilson for like a year, actually. I ended up reaching out to her the spring of my junior year, and she came and watched me in Philly, which was like by far my favorite club tournament ever, which I think is the reason why I love the East Coast so much, is because I loved going to Philly. I loved that tournament just so much. I loved being in that area and that atmosphere. It was just like a really fun tournament to be a part of. And I just remember Coach Wilson came and she sat next to one of the nicest dads on our club team, and she was just talking to him about me, and he kept pointing at me, and he's just the nicest guy. But she came to that game, and then after that I had another call with her, and then she sent me an email about a camp that they were hosting here. And so I was like, okay, like I'll like go. Like I was gonna tour another school out here, and I was like, I've never been to the East Coast, like I might as well just try it. And so I came out here. I played in a tournament, and I actually met Alyssa Munsterman, Natalie Garbelosa, and Alexis Franklin all at the same tournament, or not same tournament, the same camp. And I remember I met specifically Nat, Alyssa, and Lex, and I was just like, oh my gosh, these girls are so nice. Like I remember I went to dinner with them. I got like a campus tour. I just was like, you guys are like super like nice. Like Alyssa was from here, but Nat was from far, so I was like very related to like Nat. And then Lex was a setter, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like these people are just so nice. And after that I ended up coming back down here for a visit, and I just kind of fell in love with like the girls. I ended up staying with Nat and Alyssa, and it was just like the funniest like weekend of my life. It was very weird. Like it's now an ongoing joke that on my overnight I didn't speak to anyone. I literally sat in Nat and Alyssa's room and I did not say a word.
I find that really hard to believe.
That's what everyone says. But you can go find Natalie Garbelosa and Alyssa Munsterman, and you can ask them. I only spoke to the two of them. Sophie Meredith came up to me like at study hall, because I went and like observed study hall, and she was like, hey, like do you want my like switch? Like you can play a game. And I was like, no, I'm okay. And I just like sat and like stared at everyone in study hall. I was not myself on that visit. And like Coach Wilson ended up reaching out to me, and she was like kind of concerned. She was like, you just like were like very strange, like not like I thought you were. And I was like, no, I was just really nervous. But yeah, I mean, I fell in love with the campus. At that time I kind of had decided that I wanted to, at the time, major in criminal justice, just because this area is so prominent within the criminal justice system. Like DC's like right there. So I was like, okay, like this is the ideal spot for me to be able to go pursue a career in criminal justice. I had no clue what I wanted to do with criminal justice. I just kind of liked the topic, and I was just like, let me just run with this. And yeah, and that's how I ended up here, basically.
And so you mentioned that initially criminal justice was your major because it's so prominent in DC, and then you decided to choose a major that has nothing to do with Washington, DC. In politics,
whoa.
Obviously is very prevalent in the nation's capital.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, Jack, politics is so related to one.
The most, yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're making a little funny haha.
It was a funny haha, although I didn't get the
funny haha. Yeah, you didn't get a funny haha out of me. Anyway. Anyways, so then I decided to change my major second semester of my freshman year, because I liked criminal justice. I just knew I didn't really see a future. I really liked more the political side of criminal justice, and I think that's what drew me more towards politics. I like talking more about policy and the way laws are made. I really enjoy learning about politics. I love learning about political theory. I love like learning about all that kind of stuff. I ended up adding on a minor in cybersecurity at the time, which is now my minor in IT, and I also have a minor in business now, which I think has also made me a well-rounded student and given me a lot of opportunity within a lot of different fields. within 3 topics that can all relate to one another. So, because people ask me all the time, they don't really understand why I have such different minors from what my major is, but I think that having the 2 minors in those topics can give me a more well-rounded
Well, especially with the IT minor as well, given the explosion of technology and lawmaking that we'll have to follow, it definitely makes sense how the 2 are connected.
Thank you for finishing my answer for me, Jack, but that's exactly what I meant. Yes, you understand what I was trying to say. But yeah, so I think all those areas are very well connected, interconnected. Is that a correct word? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm a communications major. I'm going to give it to you.
He communicates, that's for sure. But there you go. That's a funny haha right there.
That's the funny haha.
That's the funny haha. But yeah, so I think all those topics can be very closely interlocked. And yeah.
Now, I've been hearing through the grapevine from a mutual friend of ours who is also a friend of the show, being on the pilot episode of Beyond the Athlete, that you are behind on your Beyond the Athlete episodes. What's going on there?
Okay, here's the thing, Jack. You know I love you. I will be caught up after today. I will make sure I catch up. As much as people like to say, oh, when you're in season, that's when you're the busiest, like all that stuff. I personally am the complete opposite. My springs are genuinely so much more packed than my falls. So I am the president of SAAC here at Marymount University. So during spring is where we have majority of our bigger events, such as D3 week. We had Special Olympics last week for women's and men's basketball. We have Mental Health Awareness Month. We have National Convention that goes on. There's just a lot more that goes into that this semester. I'm also now in spring season, which started up last week. I'm taking more courses than I do in the fall. What else do I do?
You don't watch my show. That's what you...
I don't watch your show. Oh, I work. I do work. Shout out Tommy and Jacob. Best bosses ever. I won't file workers' comp. I know I always threaten it, but I won't.
So you mentioned SAAC. It's Student Athlete Advisory Committee, for those of you who don't know. Can you describe a little bit about, first of all, what it is and also your responsibilities as president? Yeah,
I mean, SAAC in general is a way for student athletes to have a voice when it comes to NCAA legislation. So me, like I previously said, when it comes to politics, I really enjoyed the way that policies and laws were made. And I found that was a similar interest I had within SAAC, was like the way that certain legislation affects different athletes, the way certain policies and procedures go through the NCAA. I found it very, very fascinating. But SAAC is just a way for student athletes to have a voice within what's going on in their school, within their conference, within the NCAA in its entirety. I mean, SAAC is just a very, very crucial and important part of the whole structure of the NCAA. It's important for student athletes to want to have a voice. It's important for student athletes to be able to speak up for what they want. And I pride myself on making sure that every student athlete here at Marymount makes sure that they know that they have a place. If they have an issue they want to come to me about, they're more than welcome to come talk to me about. If they want more people at their game, if they want something to change within the school, like I'm always open to suggestions. I'm always open to helping anyone. I mean, for us going in, if you're a rep for SAAC here, you're mostly just going to help plan events on campus. Sometimes we'll get legislation from the conference from National SAAC. So last semester we voted on a lot of legislation that just went through National Convention. Yeah, I mean, being a rep, being a part of SAAC has really, I think, broadened my network here at Marymount. It's given me a lot more friends, a lot more people I can go to. It's created more relationships with other people, and yeah.
So what initially started your interest in working for SAAC?
My freshman year, Jasmine Roy needed a rep, and I said I can be that rep, and I became a rep. And then the next year I was like, oh, let me put an application in to be on the board. I was like, I'm not going to be president my sophomore year. Not doing that. So I was vice president last year with Mia on women's soccer. Brett Kelly, a former alumni of Marymount, and Maddie DeMarco, a former alumni of Marymount last year. And then this year I took over the presidency from Mia, and then next year I'm also planning on being president again. So, yeah. I mean, I just kind of got thrown into it, but I'm very glad that I got thrown into it. I think it's one of the things I'm very grateful for, that I have the opportunity to do. I'm very happy that I get to do this and be a part of student athletes' overall experience at Marymount.
And you also mentioned that spring season just started a couple of weeks ago. Can you go into what exactly spring season is for an off-season athlete?
Yeah, so spring season, based on NCAA legislation, you have a certain amount of days within your off season that you're allowed to compete. You get one competition date, or not compete, practice, and then you get one competition date. Our competition date is on the 22nd at Catholic. We're going to play St. Mary's, Catholic, and I think one other school, I'm not sure. But you have a certain amount of weeks that you're allowed to compete. Ours, I'm pretty sure it's 4 weeks. And you have a certain amount of practices you're allowed to fit in. So we practice 3 times a week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 6:30 to 8. Spring season, it's not as much like fall. Fall, you have your lineup, you have your starters. You're running your starters in new plays. You're running your offense. You're running basically just the starters. You're working on drills. You're scouting. You're looking at what you did wrong the week before, or what went wrong during a game, and then you're working on it. You're working through it. Whereas spring season, you're really back down to the fundamentals, and you're making sure that you're working through everything that basically the core of what Marymount volleyball is. So certain techniques we like to use, certain ways we like to play defense, ways we like to block, the tempo we like to set, which we literally had a conversation yesterday morning at practice. Me, Maya Harris, Caitlin Doyle, and Natalie Bielecki, Lexus, Franklin, not Keith. She's my friend at home. But all of us had a conversation about a tempo we want for a set. We kind of talked about it. We wanted to make it slightly faster. And so that's something that we're going to work through for the next 3 weeks, is like working on that faster tempo to the outsides, working on location. And that's more specifically within my position. But there's stuff, it's more fine tuning stuff so that we can come back in the fall and we're all on the same page, and we can make sure we help our freshmen to make sure we're all a cohesive unit so we can get another ring.
Now, would you say that's the big goal for next season then?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think next year I want to win conference, obviously. I want to go to NCAAs again. I think our team next year is going to be, it's another year full of a lot of returners. Most of our starters are returning next year. We're losing Alyssa Munsterman, which was a big part of our team this year. But we're getting Caitlin Doyle back. She was out this year because of injury, so I'm really excited to have her back. I miss playing with her on the court. She's like one of my favorite people ever to play with. Like when I'm next to her on the court, I feel so at ease. We both fully understand. I think, I don't know, but I love Caitlin, but I missed playing with her so much. But I'm excited next year to be able, we have a lot of girls coming back for 5th years. Sarah Pham, Natalie Garbelosa, Alexis Franklin, Caitlin Doyle are all coming back for 5th years next year. So I'm excited to be able to play with them again one more year for my senior year. My entire class is coming back next year, but we had most of our starters are coming back next year. So I'm excited to be able to play with that group another time, because as per the beginning of the episode, I do in fact love my teammates so very much. They're like my favorite people ever.
And in terms of goals off the court for the next year, what do you have in mind?
For myself, for the team?
Let's say both.
For myself, I think I personally next year really want to live in the moment. That next year could potentially be the last year I ever play volleyball competitively, which is really, really sad to think about. I mean, volleyball has been a part of my life since I was like 10. I'm not ready for it to end, but I just want to make sure I'm being very present next season, making sure I'm not going through the emotions. I want to really focus on not being as self-critical of myself in terms of practice, and not trying to strive for perfection as much, and trying to work through the process over perfection. I think being able to be someone that my teammates can go to next year, I think I want to try and be someone that people can talk to. I want to make sure that I help my teammates a lot more this year. Not that I didn't last year, but I want to make sure I'm really there for them. And yeah, I mean, off the court for the team, I think obviously chemistry we have because it's the same majority of the same group of people as last year. I think being able to, bond more. I think we didn't do as much team bonding this year, which I really do miss. I love doing team bonding, or just like when we're just like, oh, let's all go to like lunch together or something. We didn't do that as much, so I hope next year we do that a lot more. I think off the court, I think being there for one another, I think maybe strengthening our trust and all that stuff a bit more, even though it's already really strong. It can never hurt to be more trustful. Is that a proper word? Trustful? Trustworthy? Yeah. Sure.
Both of them work.
Sure.
Yeah, either one.
But yeah, I mean, I think all of us are on the same page that we want to ring again. I think we want to win. I think our team is also very competitive. We all want to win. We all want to be there. And that's a very crucial aspect. If you have a team, you want people to want to be there. And so it's nice to have people who want to be there. Want to be there. Thank you so much. Here all night.
So what would you say your dream job is after you finish graduation? First of all, do you plan on coming back for a grad degree, or are you just hitting the career world?
Jack, I can't tell you that right now. I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue. Dream job. I have no idea what I want to do. If we're talking dream job, I would love to be an AD somewhere, an athletic director. I would love to be an athletic director somewhere. I want to work in sports, whether that be working with Title IX and that, like the physical law, since I will have the politics background, or that being me getting my MBA master's and being able to go into the business world. Like, just, I want to be around sports for like the rest of my life. I love sports. I love every aspect of any sport. I love watching sports. I love playing sports. Like, I just want to be around sports the rest of my life. And so I think it's definitely going to be sports related. Dream job right now, it changes like every year, but dream job right now would probably be an AD for school.
Do you have any interest in coaching or anything like that?
Yeah, I do love coaching. I do have a slight interest in coaching. I coach for my home club at home every single summer. Shout out Club 1. Love you guys. But I work there pretty much every single summer. I love my club at home. I love coaching. I love being able to help specifically setters. I love coaching setters. I love like helping with setting clinics. I love teaching them like certain sets. I love teaching them how to run plays, especially the younger ones. I love teaching them about tempo and just more specific like technique wise within setting. I just love coaching, specifically setting. Like, I really do. I'm very passionate about setting. But yeah.
How would you describe your coaching style?
My coaching style? I'm definitely kind of hard on them, which is shocking because everyone would think I'd be like the happy, fun coach that everyone like loves. I'm definitely very hard on them. I'm very strict, a little too strict sometimes. Actually, I'm not that strict, but if you're messing around, I will get on you because I don't like it when people mess around when I coach. But I definitely am like funny. Like, I will joke around. I'll be very sarcastic. I love coaching like the age of like 15, 16, 14s where I can like joke around with them a little bit and like be sarcastic and be like, that was a great ball. And like, they are aware that it wasn't a great ball. You know what I mean? I definitely think I'm a very supportive coach. I enjoy not enjoy, that sounds bad. I like when they mess up because they're able to identify the things they did right. Like, I'm very keen on like, okay, that ball was not where you wanted it location wise, but like, did you see the way your hands finished? Like, that's the way your hands should be finishing.
Yeah.
Like, kind of
as a learning opportunity.
Yes. I like using specific like drills as learning opportunities in terms of looking at your failures and looking at the things that you actually did right and seeing the effort that the girls and guys like put into setting and like the physical effort of the task. Yeah. But I also coach boys volleyball sometimes. I don't know if that is clear, but I coach both boys and girls.
Is it any different, your coaching style?
No, I mean, I coached boys when I was more in high school. I haven't coached boys as of recently. Boys, you can definitely joke around with them a lot more. and they're also mean, so you kind of have to like little like tween like 14, 13-year-old guys. They're kind of mean, so you really have to be like, you kind of have to be more strict with them, just because they'll mess around with you, and they'll try and like get you to react, and you just like can't. But like girls, it's, I don't know, but yeah. So no, I haven't. There's not really a difference. I tend to also look at the process when it comes to like coaching boys, but I haven't coached boys in like a while. I coach more girls now, but I have coached boys in the past.
So what do you have planned for the next month or so?
Next month? Probably working. My parents are coming up for our spring game, so I'm excited to see them. I miss my parents. Next month. What? It's April, right?
Yeah.
Mostly spring season. I mean, D3 week's coming up, so that's gonna be a big thing for SAAC. I have to do all that stuff. I'm excited about D3 week. We have a lot of fun stuff planned, so stay tuned. What else am I doing in April?
You're catching up on these episodes.
Oh, probably catching up on the episodes. I'll probably do that today. Hey, I'll probably do that today.
Well, on that note, you can start by watching this one back. I'll send you the file. Thank you so much for
that was a good one.
Showing up. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Of course.
And as always, it's a pleasure. Love working with you. And that'll do it here.
Yeah. Shout out Grant. Shout out my twin.